Okay, so here we go with lesson number 2. What's important to realize is that this entire lesson was dealing with parallelograms, which means this can apply to any general parallelogram. It can apply to a rectangle, it can apply to a rhombus, it can apply to a square, but no matter which one of those types of parallelograms we're dealing with, our formula for the area is going to be the base measure times the height. The base is always going to be a side of our shape. I don't care if they're giving you a height that's outside of the shape. I don't care if they're giving you a height inside or on the shape. The base is a side of the shape, no more, no less, and the height will always be perpendicular to that base. So if they're showing me that this is my height, notice that it's perpendicular to this side of the shape. That makes that side my base, while h is the height. So if I do follow that formula and plug in what I know, they tell me that I have an area of 78. They tell me or show me that I have a base of 12. And now we can use that to find the height. If I wanted to solve for h and get it alone, I divide by 12 since it's 12 times h. And if I do 78 divided by 12, I'm going to find that my height is 6.5. So that means my final answer here is going to be 6.5 feet. Okay, number 2. This time they're giving me everything I need, and this time I want to find the area. I don't know the area, but I still follow the same formula and I plug in what I know. I want the area, so I don't plug in for A, but I do want the base and the height. Remember that the base is a side of the parallelogram, while the height is perpendicular to that side. So if I'm seeing this height of 6, and that's perpendicular to this side, I know that I'm going to have my area as being equal to the base of 10 times the height of 6. I know they're putting the height on the outside, but don't let that trip you up. What's stopping them from putting the height in here perpendicular and showing a 6 length there? Right? It's the same thing, they're just showing it to you in a different spot. So this gives me an area of 60 units squared. Hopefully we're good there. Next problem. Number 3, once again, they're asking me for the area, so I have to pay attention to what is my base and what is my height. I do see that I have perpendicularity here. That's showing me that I can consider this side my base as long as I consider this to be my height. So if area equals base times height, I know my area equals our base of 6 times our height of 5, giving me an area of 30 meters squared. Problem number 4. Find the area of the following parallelogram. Now this parallelogram is actually more specifically a rectangle. Hopefully you realize that. I do see that these two sides are congruent, and while they don't show me the other two are congruent, the fact that there are the 4 right angles there tell me that they would be. So again, area equals base times height. If this is, let's say I make that my base, I look at what it's perpendicular to, and although it also is a side of the shape, I can consider that my height, right? As long as the base and the height are perpendicular, I'm good to go. And the base, at the very least, must be a side of the shape. The height might be the side of a shape. So the area is equal to the 14.2 times 10.2. So go to my handy dandy calculator. 14.2 times 10.2. I get an area of 144.84 centimeters squared. Next, number 5. Again, we want the area, and which means I want to identify what is my base and what is my height. Remember, we want to look for where we see perpendicularity, and I have perpendicularity right here. So I can identify one side of my shape, and then the height as being perpendicular to that. And I have to be careful with what I consider this entire base. It's 11 plus 5, so my entire base is 16. So that in the end gives me a base of 16 times a height of x, which means my final answer is choice D. Still doing well? I hope so. Number 6. Find the area of the following squares. And what do we know about the sides of a square? We know all the sides are congruent. So if that's 3, this is 3. And being a parallelogram, I know I'm doing base times height, which really means I'm doing 3 times 3, which means my area is 9 units squared. Now on 6b, we get a little bit more complicated, and we need to remember some algebra. It starts off the same way. We were told it's a square, so I know that all the sides are congruent. So if that's x plus 5, then this is x plus 5, and the other is x plus 5, and the other is x plus 5. And then if I'm doing area, I know I need base times height, which means I have x plus 5 times x plus 5. And when I see an expression multiplied by an expression, or more specifically, we call this a binomial multiplied by a binomial, I have to remember that in order to do that, we need to FOIL. So I do x times x, that's the first pieces, times, or plus x times 5 to get me 5x. Those are the outer pieces. Shh. Sorry, my child is here. Then the inner pieces, I have 5 times x. That's the inner. And then we have the last, 5 times 5 to get me 25. So that, my friends, please remember is how you FOIL. Now I combine like terms. X squared plus 10x plus 25. That is my full area. It's x squared plus 10x plus 25 units. If I don't know what x is, I can't be any more specific than that. Okay, hopefully that was okay. We're going to try the foiling thing again, because notice on number 7, I once again have the multiplication of 2 binomials. My base is x plus 10. My height is x minus 3. So in order to multiply, we FOIL. We do double distribution. I distribute that x to multiply the first ones together to get x squared, multiply the outer to get minus 3x, multiply the inner to get plus 10x, multiply the last to get negative 30. Just like on the last problem, I want to combine my like terms, so I have x squared plus 7x, right? Negative 3x plus 10x is positive 7x, minus 30. And just like the last one, if I don't know what x is, that is as detailed as we can get. All right, next problem. The area of the following square. Once again, remember that if we're dealing with a square, we know that all 4 sides are the same. They're telling you that the perimeter is 36, which means if I add up all 4 mystery sides, x plus x plus x plus x, I should get a perimeter of 36. If I solve this, I know the length of the side, which then lets me find the area. So to find the length of the side, we combine like terms here. I have 4x equals 36. I divide by 4, and I find that each side is actually worth 9. Now, if each side is actually worth 9, I can find the area. Area is equal to the base times the height. In this case, that's 9 times 9, which means we have an area of 81 feet squared. Now on number 9. Number 9, while it looked like it was dealing with the same information, it was slightly different. Once again, we're dealing with the square, so I know all 4 sides are the same. We don't know what the sides are. They've never used the value of x, so I can label them all as x. If I think about the area of a shape as being base times height, well, we just marked that the base and the height happen to both be x. So if I'm looking to calculate, my area, which they tell me is 36, should be equal to the base x times the height x. Which means 36 is equal to x squared, and in order to solve for x, I take the square root. Since we're dealing with measurements, I only care about the positive answer to that, so I have that x is 6. So if every single side is actually worth 6, I can now find the perimeter. The perimeter adds up all 4 sides. So I have 4 sides worth 6, giving me a perimeter of 24 feet. Hope we're still doing well. We have one more to go. Last one. What's the measure of the base if the area is 36x squared and the height is 3x? So we know the area is 36x squared. We know the height that's perpendicular to a base is going to be 3x, and they want us to find the base. Honestly, guys, just use the formula. Always start with a formula and plug in what you know. We know that the area is 36x squared. We want to find the base, so leave it as b. Our height, we were told, is 3x. If I'm looking to solve for b, if I want b alone, and it's b times 3x, well, let me divide by 3x. That gets b alone. So when I divide over here, that cancels. I wind up with b equals 36 divided by 3 is 12. X squared divided by x is x. So I have my base is 12x feet. Okay, I hope you did okay on this. Please let me know if you have questions. Keep in touch. Keep track of your due dates. Hope you're all healthy. Happy social distancing. Later.